Hi, I'll be going over the umpire process for valid parentheses. So for understand, so we're given a string S containing these characters. So our input is a string S. And for our output, we want to return true or false if it is a valid string or not. So an input string is valid if open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Open brackets must be closed in the correct order, and every closing bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So we're given a few examples. So some examples. So S equals these two parentheses. Then our output should be true. So open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Open brackets must be closed in the correct order. Every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. Okay, so looks like we're good there. And then we're given another example. So let's say S equals these brackets, and these brackets. Then our output again should be true. So open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Open brackets must be closed in the correct order. And every closing bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So looks like we're good there. And then we have one last one. And this would be false. So yeah, open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Looks like we have these three valid criteria. It misses the first one already, so we return false in this one. And in terms of matching, I don't think I've seen this problem before, but so I think the way, since like order matters, I think the way to go about it would be like using a stack, using some sort of stack. Then we have like a map of our pairs, so a map of pairs. Then other than that, we're just like using loops. I think the pop method would also work, of a pop function would also be good here. Pop function. I believe that's it. So for plan, so I want to create a map of our pairs, and then we also create an empty stack. So we iterate through the string. So we iterate through the string, and then we want to check if our current element is an opening parentheses. So we check if our current element is an opening parentheses, and the way we would do that is that we, if we have the pairs stored in our map, we check our keys, right? So check our keys, and then check if our current element is opening parentheses. We check our keys. If it is, we add it to the stack. So otherwise, if it's not an opening parentheses, we check that our stack isn't empty. If it's not empty, we store the last last element of the array. If it's not empty, we store the last element of the stack in a variable. Then we check if that last element equals our current element. So yeah, we check if that last element equals our current element. If it doesn't, we return false. If our stack is empty, we return false. Then at the end of the loop, we just check if our stack is empty. So if it is empty, we return true. True, otherwise we return false. Yeah, because I believe if the stack is empty, that means that all the elements matched. Yeah, so because we got to the end of the loop, everything matched, we never returned false. So if it's empty, we got to the end of the loop, everything matched, and we have valid parentheses. All right, so then for implement, so I'm going to create a map of our pairs, called pairs. So we have our pairs in a map. And then we'll have our empty stack. And then we iterate through the string. So for I and S, I believe, yes. For I and S, so we, oh yeah, so if we have to check if it's a beginning parentheses. So if I in pairs dot keys, so we check our keys, we add it to our stack. So stack dot append I. Otherwise, we check if our stack isn't empty. So if stack, then we get our last element from the stack. So last equals stack.pop. And then we check if this beginning parentheses is equal to our current element, which should be a closing parentheses. So if last, or if pairs last does not equal I, then we want to return false. And then otherwise, if our stack is empty, we also just want to return false. Then at the end of our loop, we just want to return, if we have an empty stack, that means that we have a valid parentheses string. So return not stack. Okay, so I'll run it. Looks like we got all 3 test cases. Submit. Yeah, and then I was able to get it. So yeah, looks like the solution works. Since the order matters, we have to use a stack, I believe, like this. And in terms of evaluate, I think the time is O of n because we use this loop and we have to check every element in the string. So the time it takes for the solution to run will depend on the size of our string. And then in terms of space, I also believe this is O of n because we do have this stack array, and then the size of the stack array will depend on the size of our input string. Okay, thank you. That's my solution for valid parentheses.